Well, hello there, and welcome to another Wheelchair Wednesday. I am your humble host, Wheelchair Rick, here for another special episode of Wheelchair Wednesday on a beautiful May day. It's May 17th today, Local 517 Day, as we all call it here locally in Michigan. And today we have a special guest that I was in the hospital, and I was looking for something to watch. With wheelchairs and stuff in it to kind of look forward to my life. And this person popped up, and I couldn't believe it. So to have her on today is quite an honor. Special guest. Before we get to that, we're going to go ahead and run the intro, and then we'll get right into it. Welcome to Wheelchair Wednesday. All right, so without further ado, let's welcome our special guest, Miss Jesi Stracham.
Thank you.
What is happening?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
Oh, I'm glad you came. Thanks for coming and doing this. Like I said, I mean, I've seen you ever since my injury, and it's kind of been. I mean, try to watch everybody, but as you know as well as I do, there's not many of us out there that are doing content creation and stuff like that. So to actually, talk to somebody that I've watched coming up in this, I mean, it's an honor. Absolutely. Thank you so much for doing this. You might hear some cracks and pops. I do have old Sparky on. That's the bug killer above me, because here in Michigan, as you know, in the spring, I mean, it gets crazy. We have all kinds of bugs, and we are outside in the country. So we might hear that go off a couple of times. Before we get into all the different questions, the number one question that I put on here that kind of gives everybody an idea of who you are is obviously go ahead and introduce yourself, and then also tell us about how you got injured and your story of that.
So my name is Jesi Stracham. I am the CEO and founder of Wheel With Me Foundation and Wheel With Me Fitness. We are the first fitness app completely created by wheelchair users for wheelchair users, available in the iOS store and Google Play Store. I was a passenger on a motorcycle in 2015, and a woman made a U-turn in front of us, and the driver of the bike didn't stop in time. So he went through her back window. I went over the SUV. My chest collapsed. My ribs punctured my lungs, nicking my spinal cord. I broke my back in 2 places. I have a traumatic brain injury, and I coded twice and had to be resuscitated. So I feel very lucky just to be sitting here.
Man, sounds like it. And how long ago was that? When was that, you said?
2015, so it's been 8 years. 2015,
okay. You was you a big bike person before? You was big on motorcycles, or?
I rode off-road. So I raced in a series called GNCC for my entire childhood into adulthood, and then when I got paralyzed, I raced for Polaris for a little bit. But I always rode dirt bikes and four-wheelers and anything with a motor. I just enjoyed riding. It was a good time.
Nice, for sure. And you said your level of injury is T4?
T4.
Or T,
yeah.
Okay.
So right about my chest is where I started. Probably about 3-4 years into my injury, I started recovering some sensation and movement below my initial level. So that's been really cool to kind of get that back as I kind of heal, I guess, mentally within this injury.
Right, for sure. And I know it is a big thing as far as not only physical healing, but mental is a big part of it. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I was talking about before we got going here is I think it's super important to have support structure. And I believe that's why I like what you guys did, you know what I mean, when I was watching you and Rich, and then just, everything I've seen from people before, putting stuff on there. It all helps in one way or another. You know what I mean?
Right. Everyone will find someone that they can relate to. And I think that's so important. That's why it's so important we all share our story. Right. Somebody will relate to us in some way, in some manner.
Absolutely. The next question I have for you is kind of a weird one. It pretty much the basis of it is if you could go all the way back to that day of your injury and you could change what happened. So say that you could give up everything that you've done this past 8 years, all the stuff all the progression you've made, and you could start over to walk again, would you do it?
No.
No?
No. There's not a chance. No. I've experienced more in the 8 years I've been paralyzed than I did ever when I could walk. I've gotten closer with God. I actually have faith. I was an atheist before I was injured. So the fact that I have God and I have purpose now, no, I would not trade that. Walking's not worth that. Um, I feel very grateful for the life that I've been gifted and the opportunity I've been given to have such a really cool story of just perseverance and overcoming. And that's really what our struggle is, regardless of what we go through, right? Like you lose a loved one, eventually we all lose our parents. And
Right.
that's a massive story of perseverance and overcoming that everyone deals with at some point. And so everyone can relate to it in some manner and form.
Oh yeah, yeah, I agree 100% with that. It's kind of a weird question to some people, but like for me, I mean, even 3 years into it, I'm the same way. I'm like, no, I wouldn't go back, just
No,
because. I mean, you find your path, like you find your purpose. When you're younger, you always wonder, like, man, I wonder what I'm gonna do. I wonder what I'm gonna be made out to be. You know what I mean? Like, and you always think about what you want to do, but it never works out that way. Let's be honest. But you're right, though. God has a path and a purpose for everybody. I believe. I prayed to God 4 days before this happened to me to change my life forever, and look at me now. You know what I mean? So,
right.
I do believe it is for a purpose. That's a good answer.
I mean,
Um,
and to be fair with that, right? Like so many of us live unguided, unfulfilled, and think about how much fulfillment. And I think the really cool thing for you that I'm excited for us to kind of revisit in 4 to 5 years is how much your current purpose has morphed into something so much bigger than you even realized it could.
right,
And that's the thing, like the more you pour into you, the more you pour into your growth and development and developing that purpose and becoming stronger and better mentally and physically. Like I don't think the mental side of things is talked about enough. The more that I've read books and learned from other people's struggle that has nothing to do with being disabled, the less I associate myself as disabled and the more I feel humanized. And I think that's one of the most important things we can do as wheelchair users is to humanize ourselves because it's so easy to make ourselves feel less than human within our disability. And one way to do that is reading these books. Like I read 10 pages of a nonfiction personal development book every day. That's it. Just 10 pages. I read at least a book a month, if not about a book and a half. So I average about 14 to 16 books a year. And
wow,
I'm learning from other people's experience. And then you go and apply that in your own life. And it's like a shortcut to your struggle. And
right,
that's key. That's key. That's how people are like, how do you develop confidence as a wheelchair user? How do you get stronger? Like, how do I have a mindset like you? Like, I literally just read and I learn. I'm constantly learning from other people's struggle. And I don't identify solely in my disability. Do I acknowledge it? Absolutely. Do I identify by it? Absolutely not.
right. Yeah, I've noticed that too. Like, part of you at the beginning, it's almost like I want to say naturistic to want to behave like, oh, I'm a victim now, like please help, because of like you get kind of wrapped up in like once you're in the hospital and you got nurses and stuff like that, and they tell you like once you go home it's home, you know what I mean, like you're gonna have to figure this
Yeah.
out. So I mean, luckily for me, I have a loving, caring family and stuff that's there for me, but some people don't, you know what I mean, so they have to kind of figure it out. And I mean, if you're strong-willed enough, you'll find a way, but you have to figure out, you know what I mean, your own self. You can't look at somebody else and say, well, they did it this way, I'm going to do exactly the way they did it, because it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? I mean, I had to find my own little special way that was kind of for me. And doing these, even the Wheelchair Wednesdays, is like a form of therapy for me, because I feel like it's helping me and it's helping other people, hopefully, you know what I mean? So I told my friend one day, I'm like, dude, does this sound weird? But I was like, sometimes I do these Wheelchair Wednesdays and I feel like I'm on autopilot. Like it's like it's just like I'm supposed to do this, and this is what's going to happen. And once it's all over, it's like, wow, that just happened. That was fast. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
right?
So
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
it's crazy how that all works out like that. Um, but yeah, absolutely. My next question I have for you is kind of a touchy one, I guess, for some people. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to. But really, all I have on here is dating/married? Question mark.
Are we just talking dating or are we gonna talk sex?
I wouldn't go so far as sex. I would go just as far as, because I mean, the reason why I think I put this question is because a lot of people like especially a lot of single people, like in wheelchairs that don't have anybody to look for. You know, I mean, they don't know how to get back up and do it. They don't know how to get out and do it. They don't know who to meet or what the first step is. You know what I mean? I mean, do you tell somebody you're in a wheelchair right offhand, or do you just say, hey, I want you to like me for me? What was your experience with all that?
So if you're open for the conversation to go to sex too, I would love to talk about that. I think it's something important that we touch on as people with disabilities, because we're still sexual humans.
Right.
But when it comes to dating, I put an Instagram post out and I was asking for someone to help me when I was on the U.S. developmental team for wheelchair curling. I needed help training. And this person reached out and I ended up dating him, and he was a nurse. And that was very interesting because I didn't have to explain a lot of my life because he's a nurse.
Right.
But he just wasn't the person for me. So then after that relationship didn't work out, I got on the dating apps and I always disclosed that I was in a wheelchair. I think that was the most important thing. But my biggest mistake when it came to dating was I just solely identified by my disability. And I'd never really allowed much outside of that besides my disability. And I think that that's what really held me back, because then I kind of put myself in this limit of my roommate's dating a wheelchair user. And the whole time, from the time she moved on literally until last November, I'm like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you date another wheelchair user. I could never do that. I would never. There's not a chance in hell. And I just kept saying this all summer long. And I got reconnected with this individual who I was connected with early in both of our injuries. And we got reconnected, and we're just like in such different places as far as where we were when we met to now. And the connection's still there. And he just happens to use a wheelchair, but that's my person. And I don't know, man. I just feel like don't settle. Don't settle is the biggest thing. Don't identify by your wheelchair, and don't settle because you use a wheelchair or you have a disability. That doesn't make you less than. That doesn't make you less anymore. When my relationship ended, I made a list of everything I wanted and everything I didn't want in a partner. And my boyfriend, literally, there's one thing that he has that I just, on that list, that I didn't want. That's it. He literally hits everything I wanted in a partner. And there's one thing, which is his communication, and he's working on it and he's aware that could improve. But other than that, like, he literally meets everything I wanted in a human being. And it just happened to be the one thing I wasn't looking for, which
Nice.
happened to be another wheelchair user. And so I think that don't limit yourself to who you could be with. Just because you have an idea of what your relationship could look like, if you attract the type of partner that you truly want, they might not come in the package that you want them to come in. And you need to be okay and accepting that, like, hey, this is actually the person I want. And then I realized there was other reasons I didn't want to date a person with a disability, and he doesn't have those reasons. And so it's like, he just ended up being perfect for me. Don't settle, and don't put judgments and expectations on who you should be with. And then when it comes to sex, like, I think 100% get to know your body and really focus on the places you can feel. Foreplay is huge. And I think really getting to know your body post injury by yourself before you try to give it to someone else is also huge. Um, I've had some sensation return, so I guess it is a little different for me now, but I still don't have a lot of sensation when it comes to
Lucky. I'm
penetration.
sorry.
I get that a lot. I don't have a lot though when it comes to penetration. And so it's very important that, like, my other spots are getting touched, from my nipples to my neck to my hair to just like my face, like my ears, like, and I love touch. I
Right.
just want to be touched. And I think that that's important for both men and women with disabilities to understand, is like, don't be afraid to explore. Don't be afraid to try different things. It was so funny when I went to the surgeon, because I recently broke the fusion in my back. I asked him if I could still have sex, and he's like, "Well, you just lay there, don't you?" And I'm like, I'm like, we're both paraplegics.
Oh, I
Absolutely
gotta give you
not.
one of
We are
these.
like,
Oh, that's great.
right? I'm like, we're literally living our best life, and we have I have a better sexual relationship with my paraplegic boyfriend than I have with anyone in the past. And I think that in itself, like, we shouldn't limit ourselves to what we're capable of. That's why fitness is so important. Like, fitness has allowed me to be able to move my body in different ways that when I wasn't strong enough, I couldn't. And so now, like, I can balance in certain ways, and fitness is so much more than just looking good naked. It's
See,
truly
I think
quality
that's
of
what
life.
all of us, more of us, need to work on more. I mean, especially myself. I actually just talked to my prescribing doctor, I guess you can call her, as kind of trying to get something for home as far as like cardio, because I mean, obviously we can't run on a treadmill. I
Right.
mean, I do have a manual chair as well as my power chair, but like where we live at, it's mostly just like outside. It's, try to drive a manual chair through a bumpy yard with groundhogs tearing it up, and you know what I mean. It's hard. It's not the same, and you're not getting like a good exercise doing that. I mean, you might be, but I mean, I don't know. I always used
You
to go
should
out to
use
car
the
shows
Wheel
and
with Me
walk.
fitness app. What are you doing? We have body weight workouts and home workouts, everything.
See, and that's something you're gonna have to work with me on,
Oh
I
my
guess, after we're done here live. See, great. It's a good thing that we linked up, huh?
Oh my gosh, we got to get you in the app. It's key.
I do. I gotta check that out. All right. So moving right along on there, you touched a lot of good points though. Before we go on, because even though I've only been on 3 years, I've messed around with the sexual stuff. So it's like it's correct. I mean, whatever you can feel, you need to like kind of work with, and even like what you can't feel. Like for instance, for me, it's like it's not the same. Obviously, I mean, we're pretty much the
Right.
same. We're the same level. I mean, I'm right at nipple line too. So
Yeah.
as far as like down there, it's a feeling, but it's not the feeling. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
weird. It's almost like, for me, it's like goosebumpy feeling, but it's like
Right.
it's hard to describe. You know what I mean?
No, in the beginning of my injury, I had that where it was like when you came off the numbness from the dentist and how your cheeks feel.
Yeah.
Like that's how it kind of felt in the beginning. Whereas now I get like the arousal, I get the feeling that and no one gets that. That's not in our situation. They don't understand like losing that feeling of like, ooh, I'm
No.
about to get down.
I've had so many people that are like, man, what does it feel like? Like, what is it? I don't understand. So what
dead.
you're saying is like, I'm like, dude, you're not going to get it. Trust me. Like, no matter how I put it, you're not going to understand. But hey, everybody watching, good to see you. If you guys have any questions that are relevant questions, that are good questions, that are decent questions and kind questions and not dirty questions, we will ask them. But yeah, no, definitely, for sure. And I think that once I might actually do that, because everybody wants to talk about that. Maybe we can get a panel going or something eventually. But I tell all my Wheelchair Wednesday guests, like, keep on the line with me, because we never know what's going to go on. We might hit you back here in 6 months or a year or something, see how you're doing and go over with that. So that might be something we get into. But besides all that, to keep in mind, what is your biggest pet peeves out of being a wheelchair user?
The fact that we haven't implemented universal design and we could literally fix so many accessibility problems if we did. Just making all bathrooms accessible and, leaving enough room where someone could fully open their door in a parking spot, or building the ramp into the stairs. Like these things have been done.
Right.
And I just feel like that should be a mandatory thing that's required within the ADA. And then I was just recently in Sweden, and one of the people that I was talking to during my speech, he told me that he was building a house. And in Sweden, if you build a new house, it has to be wheelchair accessible. Has to be. And I'm like, wow,
Nice.
could you imagine if they did that in the United States? How much easier it would be to go and find a house? Like, because I was in the market for a new house, and everywhere had stairs.
Oh, yeah. So automatically, right off the jump, the first thing you're thinking of is, okay, now I automatically have to modify this home just so I can get in it. You know what I mean? Without having to pull out the portable ramps or whatever. You know what I mean?
What's the bathroom look like, right? We haven't even got there because there's stairs in the front. Like, that's always the word.
See, for me, it's kind of funny you say that, because like right now I don't even get to use my own bathroom because it's not accessible really for me. So I do like a shower. I have a portable shower that I use in our kitchen. And then as far as like doing the bowel movements, I just kind of like sit in my room with the bucket method. You know what I mean? So it's like, it sucks. I do have it on the list. I am getting home mods, but right now it's like the companies are so behind on everything because they can't find enough people to work or whatever the excuses are. It's just like I gotta wait. You know what I mean? So for me, I feel blessed enough just to be able to say I can do this. At least I do have somebody helping me do this. You know what I mean? Like I look at it as it's always can be worse than where you're at right now. So I mean that's another thing too. Like if I ever have a really bad day, I'm like, wait a minute, man. Like, chill out. It could be a lot worse than what you're looking at right now. Like, you need to just take a woo-saw, go outside, you know what I mean, taking some fresh air and calm down. But yeah, no, that is, especially here where I live. I mean, I live in Michigan, and a lot of even the new construction is built around the old construction, but they still don't put in the correct stuff, like the ramps or whatever. Like, there's been plenty of restaurants that I've stopped to. I'm like, oh, this looks so good. Well, then they have a 2-inch, 3-inch gap where I can't get my power chair over it because I have a bolt that'll catch their threshold and rip their whole thing up. Or whatever it is, you know what I mean? I'm like, come on, guys. Like, geez, all it is a 3-foot ramp. You can't put that on. Like, geez, you know what I mean? Go to the hardware store and buy one. You can get one for like $50.
It's wild that people make accessibility so difficult, and they make it where, like, the other thing, right? When we're out in public and people offer way too much help, and it's like, can you just let me live my paralyzed life? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't need your help. If I need your help, I'll ask you. Please stop offering it. And I think that's the other thing is, like, if I need help, I'll ask for it. Don't.
See, and I never understood that either. Like, when I was, I want to say able-bodied, but, like, you know, when I was before my accident, I was like, why are they always so mad at people that just try to help them? I don't understand. But now that I'm here and I'm living it, it's like, it doesn't really happen to me so much because I'm a guy. I guess for the women, it's probably happens a lot more than dudes. But, like, as a guy, like, I'll sit here and, like, for instance, like, people will try to hold my chair as I transfer or do something. I'm like, no, dude, I got it. Like, just back up. You know what I mean? Like, don't try to help me. If you try to help me, I'm going to mess myself up. And then we're both going to be in a predicament. But just certain things, I understand. People grabbing you from behind and wanting you to push or, you know, something like that. Like, luckily, my handle's fold down on my other seat. So I always tell everybody, if you can, get the fold down one.
I haven't had them since I got my first wheelchair. I said, absolutely not. I'm not even giving people those opportunities. And I've still had somebody, like, grab my chair and move it to where they wanted me. And it's just
so irkified. Like, oh, get off me.
It's so inappropriate.
Right. That's like them grabbing your hips or something and just, like, scooching you.
Right. Like, picking me up and moving me to where they want me.
Right. It's okay. I got you. What is something that you wish you could do now that you can no longer do?
Hike to the top of mountains on my own.
You was a big hiker?
Yeah, and I should have been bigger. When I was at Sweden, all I could think was we went on this ferry boat ride, and there's all these little islands, and there's these houses built on rocks. And there was this one house, and he bonsai'd all the trees around his rocks. And I'm like, it would be so cool to, like, move through these trees that are just these big canopies and just, like, explore the rocks and climb and jump and use my legs, right? I mean, I think that, and standing in the shower and letting the water just run down my back.
Yeah. Oh, man, that was fun.
Yeah.
The standing. I remember getting up, like, randomly and, like, running, sprinting and doing stuff, like whether I'd be chasing my kid or doing something where you just, like, would get up quickly and run. And I remember doing that. And it's like, I want to kind of just do that one day, but I can't do that. Or, like, when you're playing, like, because I mean, I have a 10-year-old son, and, like, he always liked to play soccer or something. And when he kicks the ball, like, now I can still grab it and I can throw it to him, or I can do frisbee, but I can't side to side no more. You know what I mean? So if the frisbee goes over here, I can't just run and, you know, dive and catch it. I mean, there's certain things that you see that you miss, and it sucks, man. That's one of the reasons why I put that down. I was like, what's the one thing? You know what I mean? Let's see what else we got here. What type of wheelchair do you currently use?
I'm rolling on a box wheelchair with daily suspension, and so it kind of absorbs the shock of pushing and jumping off curbs and everything. And I've been using box chairs since 2017.
Nice. Do you have a name for
it? She doesn't have a name, but I abuse her.
I abuse her. Oh man, you should give her like a strong but sassy name. You know what I mean?
I know, she does need one. I should think about that.
Oh, yep, absolutely. We talked about fitness, so that's very important. I'm gonna talk to you about that actually afterwards, because that's something I definitely want. Like I said, I got a hand bike thing coming where you can just kind of, like, strap it onto a table or whatever. I don't necessarily trust myself doing a hand bike right now, only because, but we can at least start there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is your pain level like? Any pain, and where's it at?
My pain's typically between a 7 and an 8, localized in my lower back and hips most of the time. Right now it's in the middle of my fusion because I broke that and it keeps poking, but usually it's just lower back.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much mine's like point of injury all the time, all day long, never stops. Do you take any medication for pain at all?
I use THC and then I stand. I think standing is probably one of the big things. And electric stimulation for my nerve pain in my legs. I sleep in these electric stimulation shorts, but standing's huge. I mean, getting in the standing frame, getting in my leg braces, like those two things are key to managing pain for sure.
Yeah, that's one thing I need to figure out. We just realized that my standing machine is out of battery and we don't know where the charger's at after moving. So now I have to order a new one probably.
Oh no.
Either that or hopefully they can approve my standing outdoor wheelchair, which would be sweet.
Yeah, that would be really
Get
cool.
outside, do some more stuff. But no, I totally agree. Right now doing stretches and stuff even having somebody do some stretches for you, like if you're in real bad pain and you feel it, and like even if you take your pills and nothing's really changing, try to do some stretches, move yourself around, move your hips around, your legs, you know what I mean? You're not meant to sit still all day long.
Well, the human body's not meant to sit anyways, and honestly, they call it the new smoking, right? Because it can have so many negative side effects. And so it's really important for us to be mindful of that and prioritize that time for the longevity of our independence. Because if you are 20 years into this and you'll still have another 20 years to live and you're living with osteoporosis and now you're risking breaking your leg transferring, is that something that you really want to struggle with and fight with as you age in this injury?
Right. Yep. Thanks for getting me on the ball too, because I'm going to order that damn power strip tomorrow. I might do it tonight. All right. So my next question to you is, what helped you the most after your injury?
Adaptive sports, for sure. Get the community more so. Knowing that you're not alone in this injury, knowing that you can do more, that there's a lot more out there for you than what your limiting beliefs are, that there's a lot available to you. And this injury is literally just an opportunity to recreate yourself and reinvent yourself into whoever you want to be. And the sooner that you accept that and realize that, like, it doesn't matter how mad you are, it doesn't matter how frustrated you are, it doesn't matter how much you wish you could undo it, you can't change your situation. So
Right.
the sooner you just kind of like deal with it and be like, all right, what's next? And move on from it, the sooner that you're able to get back to living life. And too many of us in this community keep living in that grief and that pain of what happened to us. And we never move on from it and actually get to truly experience and live life within this injury. And it's so rewarding. It really is. If you allow it to be, it's so rewarding. And the table's big enough for all of us to do great things, whether it's speaking, writing books, mentoring, coaching. Like, there's so many non-disabled people that need that mindset of perseverance that we have mastered as people with disabilities. So we need to be going out and teaching it and sharing it and just authentically telling our story of both trials and tribulation, because it's going to be good and it's going to be bad, and understanding that not every day is going to be good and not every day is going to be bad, as long as you continuously put an effort into making it better.
Well said. I like that. Absolutely. There's a lot of people, that's actually reached out to me, and like, none of us do. Like, I don't think none of us really do anyway. I don't consider myself, like a big inspiration, or, you know what I mean? Nothing like that. I'm just a person that something happened to, and now I'm making the best of it. And if my actions and what I'm doing can inspire somebody to feel better and do better about their self and their day, then so be it. That makes me feel better, I guess. But my biggest thing is like the people that, like you had kind of mentioned, that, they might think that this is it. That, oh, there's nothing else I can do. And they're down on themselves every day. What they're doing essentially is you're wasting time where you could be turning that around and making it positive and living. I mean, pretty much you make a choice when this happens to you. It's either A, I'm going to be miserable and just a wretched human being, a shell of my former self, or I'm going to turn this into a positive and say, you know what, I'm going to look at the sunshine today instead of the rain cloud, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of way I figure that I try to look at it. And I think that by me doing this and you doing what you do and other people such as us putting the word out there and talking about this and opening up platforms for more people to kind of discuss things, even if they're not very, talkative, they can just sit and listen, and it even might help them. So, I mean, I think that's, I think you got some really good points in there. Absolutely.
I think that's how we we don't feel so alone whenever we realize that there's other people dealing with the same thing.
Right. Yep. All right. So what else do I got? We got a couple more questions for you. Number 8 out of 10 is hobbies before and after injury. We knew you were a big bike rider. You like to hike a little bit. What else was you really into?
Archery. Yeah, I have a compound bow, and now I just got back into archery. So my best friend, he got me set up on this recurve bow, and so I started shooting that, and I'm just trying to improve with that. And fitness, honestly, fitness is like my biggest hobby, love, passion, and nutrition. I love food. I like to cook. I have a Blackstone. I really like to chef it up on there when I have the time. I like to eat. I like to use food to fuel my body properly. Like, I'm a big fan of food.
I think we're all a big fan of food, except most of us not in the healthier way that we should be. That me being one of those. I need to eat a lot more like fruits and like vegetables and stuff. And I mean, you see all the stuff that you can get to put in your drinks and stuff like that, but who really wants to like drink and chew at the same time? You know, I'd rather just get me a nice plate, maybe some greens, maybe some grapes, some strawberries, some apple crisp like Grandma used to make, minus the sugar on the side. But yeah, that sounds awesome. I mean, I was into music. I still haven't kind of back into music, but like everything changed, you know what I mean? Like I had all my stuff set up, and then I went to the hospital, and then all of a sudden you get home and nothing's the way you put it. And stuff's missing, and it's like, well, instead of getting back into that, let me try something new. So my music stuff kind of turned into doing this, which I think it's a good little trade-off, but I still do want to get back into doing that. And I do also want to say, just because, if you do get in an accident or something happens, it doesn't mean you can't go back and do the same thing you used to do. Even if it is rock climbing or, like you said, hiking. We talked to a couple people that, granted, wasn't able to do it on their own with, their 2 legs, but like you can still do certain things. You know what I mean? It's not like it's the end of the world and that's the end. You just got to give it up.
No, I mean, like, I went back to work doing what I did before I was injured. I was an orthodontic assistant, and I've been doing that for 40 hours a week for the last year. So, like,
nice.
You can definitely do what you did before. It's just you have to believe in yourself and believe that you can do it and believe that you can get to that work ethic in whatever it is. Yeah. Honestly, you can have anything you want. You just have to be willing to work for it. Nothing's going to be handed to you because you use a wheelchair.
Right.
You have to put the effort in your own life and take action and be more than just an inspiration. You need to help people. You need to uplift people, whether they're disabled or not. Like, we are here to serve each other as humans.
Right. I think the biggest wall you'll have to climb over is the one you put for yourself. You know what I mean? The one that you set up for yourself in your own mind. And you can talk excuses all day long, but ain't no army in the world going to get you over that wall besides you doing it yourself. Number 9 I got for you would be travel. Yes or no? I mean, I can already tell. I think you've been around the country. You've done some different things. How do you find it?
I think that we bitch too much. Like,
I like it.
Honestly, no. And I think as a community, like, we just victimize ourselves too much. It sucks when your chair's damaged. My chair's been damaged. My frame's been bent. It's annoying. It is very annoying. It's very inconvenient. But you cannot control the way the luggage moves under the plane. We cannot fit on the plane. Now, again, if universal design was implemented in air travel, all new planes should be accessible, right? But we can't expect people to change their whole fleet to create that accessible plane. So I think we get our panties in a bunch too much, and that's not a popular opinion. But, like, we really do complain too much. We need to just, like, man up, be smart. Like, I keep enough supplies on my person where if my bag's delayed, I'll be okay. Now that I have the Phoenix bag that attaches to my chair, I just hook that thing up and drag it. I just went to Sweden, went to Amsterdam. So I've traveled internationally, went to the Bahamas earlier this year. I have not had issues at any of those international places that I went. So
Nice.
like I think we attract that problem and we manifest that problem, and it's like just be smart. Just be smart about it and know that the shit can happen. Shit happens. That's it. Like that's you got into this injury. Like things happen. They don't
Especially the
damage
shit. Yeah,
every
the shit does
wheelchair.
happen.
Right. One thing I saw Anna. I don't know if you follow Anna Sorol. She's this cute little like Filipino girl. She's like 21 years old, just killing it on social with her content. But
Okay.
she suggests adding an air tag to your chair when you fly, and so I've done
Oh,
that just
that's
in
nice.
case like it gets left behind or something.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've heard just absolute horror stories about like planes and stuff. Me personally, it's nothing against it, but I don't have any need to fly. I don't want to go across. I don't. I'm good right here. Everything I want to see is right here in America, and I will drive my happy ass to see it. But no, I definitely think like if that's something that you want to do. Once again, we come to the wall that you built for yourself. Jump over the damn thing and get it done. My buddy James says, love it. She don't sugarcoat shit. She's not Willy Wonka.
I'm
James,
definitely not Willy Wonka.
that is a correct
Hi, my name
assessment.
is Jesi Strawham, and I am real all the time. I offer
Yeah, that's what I'm
one-on-one
talking about.
coaching.
Let's throw that out there for you. I mean, I have a
That's the
sound effect board. I
thing.
might as well use it.
I love it.
All right. So the last question I got for you, on the cards at least, is what is the best piece of advice you would give to any newly injured person?
You got to let go of all judgment of where you think you should be and what you think your life should look like, and just show up the best you can every day. Focus on getting 1% stronger, 1% better. Don't focus on the big picture of where you want to be, because it's easy to get consumed in what happened to you when you do focus on those things. If you just focus on 1 minute at a time, knowing that your current situation's not forever, and removing that judge of I should be here, or I need to do this, or I should be like this influencer. No, you're in your own story, doing your own thing. You need to focus on you and just becoming the best you can be.
I like it. I like it. Give her one more of those. Well, I got to say, I do appreciate you taking the time, Jesi, to come hang out with us and answer a few questions. I'm going to tell you, just like I tell everybody else that comes on this wacky, weird, crazy, wild show, we're going to keep you in our Rolodex, so to speak. Later on, we might have like a panel with a couple of you that jumps on. Like I said, we might talk about like wheelchair users with the sex deal. We might talk about anything, travel, like best options for different things, hot topics, stuff like that. So we're going to keep you with us. What I will say now is if anybody would like to follow Jesi, all of her different, what do you call them, links, I guess, are going to be down inside of the description. They're not there yet because we still have to do that. This is a live show. Give me a little bit and they'll be there. So, yeah, we appreciate it. Is there anything else you'd like to leave them with?
At the end of the day, you're your biggest enemy, y'all. And like if you want to change your life, if you truly want to be better, show up better for not only you, but your friends, your family, your kids, you have to make the decision to do it. And you have to do it even when you don't want to, even when you don't feel like it, because you're never going to feel like it. Shit, I don't want to do half the shit I do every day, but I still show up because I know that's going to get me where I want to be. So your desire to go where you want to be has to be stronger than your desire to stay where you're at.
Absolutely. Tomasa said, I'll be waiting for them. Would love to get to know this badass. Dang, you're popular. All right. Well, I tell you what, Jesi, hold up. Stay with us. To the rest of you guys, if you or somebody else you know that would like to be on a Wheelchair Wednesday, go ahead and shoot me a message here on Facebook, YouTube, whatever. Comment. Let me know. And we'll get you on here. Besides that, salute to everybody. Thank you for coming on, Jesi. And we will see you later.